On this episode of Old Joe's Reminiscence, when an alien spacecraft crashes into the Ark, Devon tries to stop its occupant from salvaging parts from the Ark to build a new spacecraft for a trip home. This episode's special guest star is Walter Koenig. For some reason, this was the 7th episode of the Starlost to air, but it is listed as episode number 10 on IMDb. It seems to be the only one shown out of order, and it made an early debut on Canadian television on Saturday, November 3rd, 1973. That's the same day that NASA launched the Mariner 10 probe on its 4-month journey to Mercury. Thinking about that, and the 500 years that the Ark has been floating through space, it's only a matter of time before we get a visit from the Alien Oro. This episode begins with a spaceship bearing a single occupant. The craft is being vectored to investigate a foreign interplanetary object that has just become visible on long-range microscanners. The pilot's orders are to identify the object and to return, and they include a stern warning not to establish contact.
Repeat. Identify foreign object and return immediately to orbital station K7. Planet Tsar Control, calling Explorer Craft 531. Report emergency.
We then fade to Devon, Rachel, and Garth donning their spacesuits because, as William Osler repeats,
warning, depressurized area beyond this point. Space equipment required.
Usually he's not much help, but here he's telling them that they need spacesuits, gravity has to be activated, just about every detail they need to know.
Gravitational switch must be utilized. Number 1 sealed door must be secured before opening number 2 door.
He's already told us that 3 times.
Can't we find out why it's depressurized?
Try to rephrase the questions. Why was the area beyond the iris depressurized? What happened?
Depressurization has taken place.
Yeah, we know that, but why?
Sound input is above acceptable levels. Please modulate your voice.
It's amusing how Devon converses with the computer, but Garth merely gets reproached for raising his voice.
Why was the area depressurized?
The atmospheric integrity of the area has been broken.
When did the accident take place?
0320 Sidereal 3 April Earth Year AD 2790.
That was less than a year ago.
What caused the break?
An outside force.
It happened less than a year earlier, so that's not the accident that sent them adrift for the past 400 years. Just a note here, Colonel Garraway from the Pisces was right when he speculated that Rachel would look good in a spacesuit.
What force was behind that door?
No information on nature of force.
Now that is the annoying computer that we all know and love to hate.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
I was struck by how easy it was to enter that depressurized area. Devon uses his key as he always does, and they're in. Holy gaping hole, Batman! I'm surprised that the crew of the Pisces didn't notice a hole that big in the hull. I was estimating the size of the hole to be about 6 by 8 feet, about 1.8 by 2.4 meters, based on what I'd figured were eye-level control panels on that bulkhead. But when our three friends show up and step onto the blue screen, it comes as a shock to me. They appear to be way too small. Speaking of shock, I would expect them to be shocked at the revelation of a gaping impact puncture. But they're more in awe, just walking around casually. Moving along, nothing to see here. In the next scene, they take their helmets off, so I guess they're back in a pressurized part of the Ark. But there's a jagged hole in the wall there. Garth sees a woman through that hole. She is examining a circuit board, and she's obviously so engrossed in her work that she's totally missed hearing people come through the airlock. She is special guest star Alexandra Bastedo, a then 20-something British actress who would appear in dozens of films and television shows during her decades-long acting career.
Devin, come here. There's someone in there. Where? There was a woman in there.
Garth, there's no one here.
Well, that's where she was, right there.
Then they're surprised when a female voice asks,
Are there any more of you? I asked you a question. Are there any more of you?
Yes, many more, and they'll be looking for us.
2 answers, both of them lies.
Devin gets the feeling that it's a recorded voice, kind of like the voice from the creator back at Cypress Corners. Garth asks,
Why won't you let us see you?
The scene briefly shifts to someone lurking in the shadows, and Devin says something odd, as if he's reasserting himself, but he's not said anything the first time.
I said, how many of you are there?
That sounds like it's continuing her script. Did they get things mixed up there? Garth turns, noticing that figure we just saw in the shadows.
Who are you? What do you want?
Who are you?
When that man steps out from the shadows, I half expected him to say, I asked you first.
I am Oro of Ixar.
Well, I am Devin of Cypress Corners.
He is Oro, played by special guest star Walter Koenig.
Walter Koenig was born in Chicago, Illinois to Russian immigrants on September 14, 1936. The family moved to Manhattan, where Walter grew up and went to school. He studied theater alongside Christopher Lloyd, Dabney Coleman, and James Caan. He started acting on screen in 1962. A 1964 appearance on The Lieutenant got him noticed by Gene Roddenberry. That led to the most iconic role of Walter's career when he was hired to play Ensign Pavel Chekhov for the second season of Star Trek. As one of only a few remaining members of the original series crew, Walter is continuing his role of Pavel Chekhov today in Star Trek Picard.
If you'll recall, Harlan Ellison had originally written the part of Devin with Walter in mind. Then, after the Suits had hired movie star Keir Dullea to play the lead role, Harlan had written the part of Garth for Walter. When it was decided that they needed Canadians to round out the rest of the regulars, Robin Ward was brought on to play that part. In this episode, Harlan finally gets his wish, and Walter does get a special guest star role on the Starlost. Next, the woman steps out of the shadows and she asks what they wish to know.
What do you wish to know?
Well, let's start with names. I'm Devin.
I heard.
Who are you?
Y419B2, also known as Idonna.
Dun, dun, dun! So much drama just to announce her name. What's up with that? Y designates the dome she's from. She makes it a point to emphasize that it's not like Cypress Corners. So does everybody on the Ark know how backward Cypress Corners is?
This man who was just here, the one who calls himself Oro of Ixar. Where's that dome?
Ixar is a planet in the nebula Xenophon.
Planet? Do you mean he's from another place? Another... How did he get here? Garth, do you realize if he could get here from another planet, surely he could get the Ark back on course? Rachel, will you stay here? Be right back.
How could you go away? Unless Oro permits.
Rachel is surprised to see the woman working on a circuit board. It's certainly not the type of work women would do back at Cypress Corners.
In Cypress Corners, women churn butter, bake bread, sew, sometimes work in the fields. But Garth does this kind of work. He's a blacksmith.
Idonna doesn't seem very interested in Rachel's thoughts, though, so Rachel wanders off too. She walks down a dark passage and comes to a translucent doorway with light shining through. She steps on the pad to open the door, and she walks into a brightly lit compartment where she finds Oro's spaceship. She circles all around the exterior of the craft before venturing inside. The hatch closes. Oops! Rachel cries out for Devon. In Act 2, Devon is amazed at some of the things in Oro's work area. Oro admits to scavenging raw materials from the Ark to manufacturing those things. When Devon insists that they may need those things if they are to get the Ark back under power, Oro says,
You cannot. It is a manifest impossibility.
You mean you know about the accident?
We knew on Ixar. It was observed and recorded at the time.
I see. And yet nobody did anything to help. From such a powerful planet, with such an advanced society.
Devon, what is your Ark? A speck in the universe. But you were not ignored. When the course of the Ark brought it conveniently close, a reconnaissance flight was sent out.
And were you...
I was charged with the mission, yes.
Well, then you did come to help us.
No, I told you. Your situation is hopeless.
Wait, at the beginning of the show, they send him to identify a foreign object that just became visible. Huh. He insists that the Ark is in a hopeless situation. He's just trying to get home. Meanwhile, Rachel is still in that spaceship shouting for Devon. Garth goes to flirt with Idonna, who's soldering things on a circuit board. I recognize some of the tools she's using from my years of working at Radio Shack.
What do you call that?
What does it matter? Things are what they do.
I know, but just makes it easier to talk, I guess, if things have names. I mean, if I didn't know your name,
Yes. Now that you do know it?
Well, it's just that I never met anyone named Idonna before.
She's giving him the cold shoulder.
Can I help you with that? What's that for? You didn't answer my question. Look, I am a blacksmith, you know.
What she's doing is so far beyond blacksmithing. He starts saying that he never saw a woman use tools like that before. She knows, and she quotes the things that Rachel had told her women do back at Cypress Corners.
Back in Cypress Corners, women churn butter, bake bread, sew, sometimes work in the fields.
Now, how did you know that?
Rachel told me.
Where is Rachel?
I'm sure I don't know. Why?
No, I don't know. Just wondered, I guess. I worry about her sometimes. She shouldn't even be here.
You mean she should be back in Cypress Corners, churning and baking and sewing?
Yes. Anything wrong with that?
No? I suppose it would depend upon whom you were churning and baking and sewing for.
Meanwhile, Oro notices a flashing yellow alarm light.
And so, Devon, that hole in the module was not caused by a boulder, but was in fact the responsibility of a minor misfunction that resulted in my missing the docking port.
Wait, he was aiming for a docking port? I thought he wasn't supposed to make contact. I'm so confused by this episode.
Just exactly how are you planning to get back to Exar? You've already stated that the Ark can't be put back in working order.
Out of the question.
Right? I'll accept that for the moment.
Thank you.
Then how are you going to get back? Walk?
Your young woman friend shares your curiosity.
Rachel?
She has already discovered the answer to your question.
Where is she?
She's in no danger.
Where is she?
Open it up!
We cut to the three fugitives with Idonna in her workroom. From the look on Rachel's face, she will be scarred for life after her ordeal. Idonna wraps up a cord connected to a circuit board, and she leaves the room.
Garth, he built that spaceship with his own two hands, piece by piece. Do you know what that means?
Yeah, he's good with his hands.
Good. He's a genius. Why, he knows more than we could ever hope to learn in a lifetime.
Yes, he does.
Look, he's going to get on that spaceship. He's going to fly home to his home planet. If we let him, do you realize what he takes back with him?
Garth's answer floored me.
Yeah. Idonna.
Yes, Idonna. But Garth, he takes back something far more important. Everything he knows. His skills. Everything his people have learned. Ages of experience.
You really think he can save the Ark?
Meanwhile, Idonna presents Oro with the circuit board, and she questions whether Oro could save the Ark.
If I could. There's not time for either of us.
Not time.
Exar is part of a solar system. This Ark will pass by that system, and then briefly we will be close enough to launch our little life raft. The raft has limited range. If we do not leave while that window in space is open, there will not be another chance.
For you, perhaps. But I could stay. I know you say the Ark is doomed. But it has lasted for 400 years since the accident. Couldn't it last 400 more?
would not matter to you. On the Ark, there is not much time for you. Why has life on the Ark suddenly become so precious to you?
She looks about to cry. We cut to Garth doing some blacksmith work with Idonna at his side. Garth turns as if he's about to kiss Idonna. Whoa, watch what you're doing with that hot metal, Garth.
Idonna, the window. The window has opened.
In Act 3, Idonna says she needs a few more things to get the craft ready to go. Oro wants her to rest, but she insists that there's no time.
I'm all right. There's no time.
Oro, please, stay on the Ark. Help us.
My mission was to reconnoiter here, then return to Exar.
But then let Idonna stay here. She's from the Ark. She belongs on the Ark. She almost seems to know as much as you do. Surely she could help us.
To leave her here would be a certain sentence of death. Besides, I need her help on my journey.
Idonna finds Garth pacing around inside Oro's spaceship.
I thought I'd take a look around your spacecraft. Lend a hand if you need one.
Very well.
It's painful to watch the awkwardness of them falling for each other.
Will you hold this while I make it fast?
She explains that Oro found her wandering around in the tunnels. Cut off from Ygritte, he saved her life, so she belongs to him and she must go with him. Garth seems devastated. I mean, Devon stole Rachel from him. He just lost his chance with Letha in the last episode, and now he's going to lose Idonna. Garth just can't seem to get a break when it comes to women. There's a long series of fades from Oro standing still and waiting, to the empty bridge, to a view of space, while instructions start fading in from Planet XR Control.
Planet XR Control calling Explorer Craft 531. Planet XR Control calling.
Then Oro goes to a console and opens an access panel. What's he got up his sleeve, I wonder?
Garth, Rachel, have you seen Oro?
He just left. Why?
He says that when he finishes fixing up his ship, he'll give some time.
Yeah, well, it isn't going to work that way.
Why not?
That message he was waiting for, the go-ahead from XR,
Yes?
he got it.
He what?
He's leaving. Devon catches Oro dismantling something.
What is that?
Something I need and you do not.
Why should I take your word? How do I know we won't need that to fix the reactors? Now, I want you to show me where the reactors are now.
There isn't time. The message I received was...
I know. The window in space is open.
We cut to Garth and Idonna. We get more exposition about Ygritte. There are no adult men there, and she ran away because she couldn't bear children. So there's one dome with no women, and Ygritte with no men. What a strange arc. Idonna asks Rachel if she can stay with them. If so, she plans on telling Oro just before he leaves. As we begin Act 4, Devon gives that piece of equipment back to Oro, saying, "We wouldn't know how to use it anyway."
Are you trying to appeal to my conscience? Make me feel as though we're deserting you?
No, I think I was asking you to do too much. After all, you have a chance to escape.
A chance to go home.
I stand corrected.
Oro tells Devon that Idonna will die if she stays on the Ark.
Well, we'll all die, unless we do something.
In her case, it is imminent. Something happened to the atmosphere in Igric hundreds of years ago. Possibly it was caused by the accident to the Ark. Gradually, the people of Igric adapted to the change, the women better than the men. But now they cannot live long outside their own biosphere.
You mean that Idonna
will not survive here more than a few days or weeks longer.
On XR, they can provide a controlled environment for her. How lucky for everyone involved that not only does XR have the same atmosphere as Earth, but they also speak English. Oro promises, as soon as all is ready, he will help them. Meanwhile, Idonna asks Rachel once again, "Can I stay with you?"
Why don't you ask Garth?
You know then? How? Did he say something?
No. I can see.
In the next scene, Garth doesn't have enough strength to hold up a panel, and it falls on him.
Dad, what happened?
Back if you want to help.
Why?
Hold still.
You can't do that. You're destroying everything you worked for.
If I don't do it, you could be electrocuted.
As they lift the panel off of Garth's leg, Oro comes in to see the damage that was done.
My dream.
As Rachel and Devon discuss how Idonna wants to spend whatever time she has left with Garth, he just happens to overhear them.
But I can't let her do that, can I?
Garth. It may not be true. Oro probably made up the whole thing when he realized she might not go with him.
No, he wouldn't do that. He has no feeling for anyone, no pity, no love, also no deceit.
He decides to try to save her. In the next scene, we see Idonna watching Garth pounding out some metal. Then Oro looks on as Garth welds something on his ship. Idonna comes in looking mighty fine in her spacesuit.
He is almost finished. We must hurry.
She says she's not going. After they discuss it, he says that the decision is hers to make. And when she tells Oro that she's staying, he blames Garth. Then Idonna collapses. Oro says that he can use the life support on his craft to help her, so Garth picks her up and carries her aboard. Maybe someday he'll see her again. Our three are in their helmets and back on the blue screen, just in time to watch through that jagged opening in the hull as Oro's ship takes off on his way home. What can I say about the Alien Oro? It's not a bad episode, it just had a few awkward moments. I think the spaceship was fine. There were some good special effects there. Other than the forced falling for each other scene, most of the acting was all right. I guess the overall plot was okay. And not only did XR have the same atmosphere and language as us, but given that 1 year window for Oro's return, I'm guessing their solar orbit is similar to ours as well. What a coincidence. So all in all, it was a rather enjoyable episode that I would probably watch again. I'm looking forward to watching the next one whenever my schedule allows, so don't forget to like, subscribe, and to comment below, and I'll see you as I reminisce about the Starlost.